Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video, we are going to be going over round 7 of my Ninjago Hot Takes series. This is the series of videos where I ask you guys, the audience, to submit your own Ninjago hot takes so we can cover them in a specific video. That specific video is today's video. Now, for the most recent round of Ninjago Hot Takes, I put up a community post asking you guys to submit your spicy Ninjago opinions, and we got a fairly large turnout. Not as large as some previous videos have been. We had around 1.7 thousand likes with a little under 1,000 comments, which isn't terrible, and we're also doing this a few days earlier than what we usually do, so the actual turnout is going to be a little bit less. Regardless though, I picked out some Ninjago hot takes that I want to talk about in today's video, and as such, we're going to be going over a couple of my favorite replies to this community post. For a quick disclaimer, this video will indeed be containing some controversial Ninjago opinions. If you find an opinion that you disagree with, terrific, that's kind of the point of this series. However, the opinions themselves will be attached to very specific usernames, so feel free to not go out of your way to harass anyone whose name is featured in today's video. This video is just meant to be all in good fun, so please don't get too offended at some of these Ninjago opinions. They're supposed to be kind of spicy or controversial, if you will. They're called hot takes after all. So with that quick intro out of the way, why don't we go ahead and get started. We're going to be reading through them, and I'll be giving my opinions on each hot take when we get to it. The first one reads as follows: Jay should have been the Green Ninja. It would have served as great character development for his character. Also, he was the first ninja to do spinjitzu after all. Very interesting point. So of course, Jay being the Green Ninja isn't really something that was kind of hinted at by the show itself. If anything, Kai was kind of hinted at to be the Green Ninja. Ultimately, we know that Lloyd ended up being the chosen one, but in terms of Jay being the Green Ninja, I'm not sure how that would have worked. Granted, Jay was indeed the first ninja to use spinjitzu, and only the second ninja to unlock his true potential, so Jay has some pretty impressive stats behind himself here. However, like I said, I don't know if I could see him as the Green Ninja. He was never one of my predictions back when Ninjago was surrounding us with the mystery of the Green Ninja, so I'm not sure how to feel about this. I'm sure that Jay fans would have their own opinions on that, but because Jay is not my favorite ninja, I'm pretty much indifferent on this opinion. I feel like Lloyd was the best choice. Hot take: Season 11 needs more love for its great animation, awesome lore, having a ninja become a villain who wasn't Lloyd at age 10, and the actual funny parts. I do agree that Season 11 has some things that it should be recognized for. For example, this was the first season to feature Wild Brain's animation, which honestly is pretty good for the most part. In terms of lore, I do agree Season 11 packed a lot of background content into the actual Ninjago series, so much so that it almost stands out as being one of the most historic seasons out of all of them. I enjoyed the aspect of Zane becoming a villain, even though there are some things that I had issues with towards the end of the season revolving around that plot point, and the actual funny parts, yeah, there are some genuinely funny moments in Season 11. I feel like the majority of the Ninjago fanbase does kind of see Season 11 as this inferior thing, while in reality it has some very redeemable qualities about it. Granted, there are some things that I have issues with, of course, but for the most part, yeah, totally, Season 11 should be recognized for some of those things. Master Wu is a bad character. Almost every arc about him is that he did something bad in the past, and now it's coming back for him. In Season 13, he feels like a 10-year-old when his friend doesn't like him anymore. Season 9 is the exception. I do agree to an extent that Master Wu's character isn't what it used to be. Now, in terms of whether or not Master Wu was ever a good character, I would argue yes, of course. I feel like Wu has definitely had some very solid storylines under his belt, of course in the context of the Ninjago series, but I do feel like he's had some issues as well, such as, yeah, recycled plot points revolving Wu's past, or his, I guess, immature attitude during Season 13. At least he came out of his funk in that regard, but I do agree that Season 9 was an exceptional season for Master Wu. Seeing him grow from a little kid into the Master Wu that we know and love was definitely the highlight for me of Season 9 for sure. Nia is a pretty unnecessary character. They keep trying to give her a role by teaming her up and giving Zane water to freeze, but he was able to make ice before she came along. I like her and all, but she just isn't necessary. I do kind of understand this point to an extent. However, I do feel like Nia has provided more to the team than just, being there to help out the other ninja, if that makes sense. She's definitely come into her own element at this point in time, and I do feel like she is a necessary character for the Ninjago cast. She's been here since day one, and as such, she is a very mandatory character to include in the Ninjago series. What we'll see after Seabound, however, is up for debate. But regarding this comment right here, I wouldn't consider her to be unnecessary, though I do understand why some Ninjago fans would see her character as a little, I guess, repetitive or similar to the other ninja. Hot take, Kalmar is one of the worst villains in this series. We know he wants to rule the land, but for what reason exactly? Honestly, after Morrow and Nauticon, Ninjago villains have been getting real mediocre, if not bad. So this is basically one of the biggest hot takes that I saw in the comment section that caught my interest, and a lot of comments regarding the villains are going to be featured in this video in addition to this one. In terms of Kalmar being one of the worst villains, I don't know if I'd agree with that. I do think his motivations are very black and white. I mean, for example, he's essentially the same character as Pythor. He just wants to take over the land because he's the bad guy. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't believe in the ways of his father and his adoptive brother, but I do feel like in Seabound he made himself very much known as one of the biggest villains in recent Ninjago. I feel like Morrow and Nauticon are very much good villains as well, and those are probably some of the best Ninjago villains that we've ever seen. A lot of Ninjago villains nowadays can't really hold up to what Morrow and Nauticon established, especially characters like Unagami or even the Skull Sorcerer to an extent. I honestly agree with this comment in parts, though I do feel like some of the more recent Ninjago villains have been pretty decent villains. Not perfect, nowhere near what we've seen previously for Ninjago bad guys, but still good nonetheless. Here's another comment regarding villains. Hot take, I really wish the writers would stop making villains turn good at the end or have them misunderstood. It loses credibility for the show's villains and basically makes them a joke. They've done this with the Keepers, the Hunters, and the Serpentine, all of which were totally unnecessary. I do understand the point that this comment is trying to make here. I feel like villains turning good or redeeming themselves is definitely a trait that we've seen over and over again for Ninjago. For example, yeah, the Keepers, Unagami, even characters like Harumi had a good side to them before they eventually died, but Ninjago has indeed included some villains that are just downright evil, including the Overlord, probably the biggest example of that. I feel like we have a healthy balance at this point in time, so I'm not super concerned about this, though I do understand once again where this comment is coming from. Season 9's First Realm story was pointless, as the only notable thing is meeting Faith and Firstborn, as Iron Baron and the Dragon Hunters weren't established yet, and they could have met Faith and Firstborn anywhere else, and Wu's training could have been done with Lloyd. I feel like the First Realm storyline in Season 9 was there to establish world building. I mean, having the original 4 ninja along with Wu travel to the very first Ninjago realm not only establishes some important historical context, but it also provides a little bit of nostalgia as well. Seeing those 4 original ninja teaming up with Wu again definitely brought a lot of smiles to the Ninjago fans during Season 9. I do feel like some of the stuff in the First Realm was a little questionable. Like I said in previous videos, the Iron Baron and the Hunters aren't my favorite villains out there, but Faith and Firstborn are important characters that obviously came from the First Realm, and in terms of Wu's training being done with Lloyd, I feel like that could have happened, but like I said, I like the idea of Wu teaming up with the original 4 ninja. I feel like that makes the Ninjago story go full circle to an extent. The ninja are now training their master, who originally had trained them. I kind of like that aspect of Season 9 in that regard. So to summarize, I don't feel like Season 9's First Realm story was pointless, though I do kind of understand what this viewpoint is, and again, where this comment is coming from. Hot take, the original Golden Ninja suit is trash. The new one is way better. The old one isn't even original. It's just the kimono one, but gold. The new one looks how a Prophecy legend should look. That's interesting. The original Golden Ninja minifigure is my favorite Ninjago minifigure of all time, and the newer one, I do agree, looks nice, but it's not as nice as it could be, I suppose. And yeah, the kimonos look the same because all of the kimonos looked the same. That was basically the point of that. Though this comment is just an opinion, I need to respect that, of course, though I do disagree. I feel like the original Golden Ninja figure is much better than the new one, but again, that's just my opinion, and this comment has its own opinion. Hot take, Nia should stay dead. Very blunt and to the point there. In my opinion, Nia should not stay dead, and she should totally come back in a future Ninjago story, and that's basically my stance on this hot take. Moving on. Season 7 and Season 10 are equally just as bad. They're both boring and have bad writing. Hands of Time has better villains, but Season 10 uses the ninja better, while Season 7 used them badly. Overall, I think Season 10 was a little better, but still not great. This is kind of a comparison that I've seen a lot throughout the Ninjago scene. I've seen some people lump Season 7 and Season 10 into the same category as being kind of average Ninjago seasons, not seasons that are overly amazing, but also not seasons that are terrible, if that makes sense. I agree that both Hands of Time and March of the Oni have their issues, but at the same time, I recognize that March of the Oni was trying to do a lot more. Season 7 I would definitely put below Season 10 for a lot of reasons, but overall I feel like they're both not terrible seasons. I have issues with both of them, sure, but I don't think they're that bad. I feel like they're just okay seasons. Season 10's probably just a little bit better for me than Season 7. I actually quite like March of the Oni, kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, but still, you guys get the point. I feel like Season 7 and Season 10 aren't really on par with one another. They're both average seasons in the eyes of a lot of Ninjago fans, but for me at least, Season 10 is just a little bit better. Morrow is a better villain than the Overlord. Once again, very blunt and to the point here. I would disagree. I like the Overlord a lot more than Morrow. Even though Morrow is a very fantastic villain, the Overlord is just one of my favorite bad guys of all time throughout Ninjago, so I can't really put Morrow above him, though Morrow is very, very close. If the Overlord is first place, then Morrow is a very close second. March of the Oni provides a fulfilling experience and satisfying end, despite being a rushed season. I actually find it to be one of the best pieces of media to perfectly handle its fan service. Every callback, reference, or Easter egg was not only a treat for the Ninjago fans, but they also felt meaningful. The season does a stellar job honoring Ninjago's history, especially in their intro, which is one of the best intros in the show. I pretty much agree with all of these points here. March of the Oni, once again, is very divisive among Ninjago fans. In terms of myself and my own opinion, I quite like March of the Oni, and I do feel like it does provide a lot of Easter eggs and fan service in a good way. I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about this aspect of March of the Oni, so I wanted to include it in today's video. I feel like March of the Oni is a very solid Ninjago story. Even though it is kind of short, I wouldn't consider it to be rushed or anything like that. It's very short when you compare it to other Ninjago seasons, but overall, I liked it. I thought it was good, and I'm glad that it's getting some attention in a positive light for once. I feel like a lot of people rip on March of the Oni just for being short, though once again, I do agree that it does have some problems. Hot take, I genuinely don't like Seabound's villain. Seems like the, oh, I don't like my brother and want all the power, with very little motives to make it good. Like we mentioned earlier in the video, Kalmar himself is a very black and white villain. He wants one thing and he's striving to reach that one goal while ultimately providing minimal motivation, except for, oh, I'm bad, so I want to do this thing. I do agree that Kalmar is very much a by-the-books villain, but I don't think he's bad. I understand why some people don't like him, but I like Kalmar to an extent. He's a fine villain in my opinion, though once again, I do understand why some people definitely do not like him. Hot take, Zane was probably at his worst during the Fire chapter. He had multiple visions about Asphira and the destruction she would bring to Ninjago, and proceeded to be annoyingly non-proactive. Like, say something. Tell your team what's going on. This comment's kind of funny, so I figured I would include it in today's video. I mean, he tried to an extent, to be fair, though I do feel like Jay and some of the other characters didn't really take him seriously, though I do feel like Zane probably should have been a little bit more proactive, like this comment mentions. I just feel like the entire team was making poor decisions during season 11, which again was kind of the point of the ninja throughout the Fire chapter. They were kind of lazy and a little bit less motivated than what they usually were, so I guess it kind of gets a pass from me. Not really too sure how to feel about this, though I do feel like Zane probably should have taken a few extra steps to actually prevent some of these visions from coming true. Hot take, I enjoy the similarities between Pythor and Kalmar, as their character personalities, charismatic nature, and voice performances are what elevate them among the cast of the Ninjago villains. I wouldn't mind if another villain was similar to Pythor, as long as they are an entertaining villain that steals the show when they are on screen. This is a very respectable comment. I like this comment quite a bit. This is kind of different from what we previously talked about in today's video with all of the Kalmar hate. This comment actually kind of supports the character of Kalmar and his similarities to characters like Pythor. I do feel like both Pythor and Kalmar have very, very stunning voice performances. Big shout out to their voice actors, and I do feel like they have traits about them that are better than some other Ninjago bad guys, though Pythor and Kalmar, for me at least, are both kind of in the middle, I would say. They're not terrible Ninjago villains, but they're definitely not some of the best in my own opinion. I feel like there are definitely better Ninjago villains, such as the previously mentioned Morrow and Nadakon, even the Overlord and Chen, so I feel like Pythor and Kalmar, while they are pretty similar to each other, they're not my favorite villains, though I do appreciate reading a comment that's actually supportive towards Kalmar after several negative comments featured in today's video. It kind of makes for an interesting contrast, and it's sure to start some discussions in the comments. And the last one that we're going to be talking about in today's video, hot take. At this point, any opinion is considered to be a hot take. I mean, in the Ninjago community, any opinion will start arguments and fights, so yeah, I feel like every opinion is kind of a hot take to an extent, though I tried my best in today's video to try to search for some of the spiciest ones that we haven't really talked about in other hot take segments. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for this video here today, you guys. That's pretty much all we have time for. Thank you to everyone who submitted Ninjago hot takes. I wish we could talk about all of them, but we would be here for literal hours on end, so I figured I'd just pick out a couple to talk about. If you wanted another chance to submit more Ninjago hot takes, please be patient. We're going to be doing more videos in this series eventually, though it is kind of a long wait in between these videos. I do understand that, but part 8 will come out eventually, so feel free to stick around the channel if you wanted another chance to be in one of these videos. Like I said, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this video here today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below talking about which hot take you thought was the spiciest, or which hot takes you don't agree with. Leave all your thoughts down below, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description from other forms of social media. As always, big shout out goes out to my Patreon supporters, including once again the marvelous Jan. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video once again. My name is TannerFishies, and with that, that, I bid you farewell.